Appreciate it. I'm glad everybody came out here today to meet our newest staff member, Senior Associate AD and Senior Woman Administrator, Dr. Amber Burge, who's in the second row over there. But I assume they're here for maybe another reason. And I'll start out with my comments by saying it sure was a great win last night. You know, we've got those rivalry games with UTEP, and they got the better of us with a really well-coached Joe Golding team, and you know we got the better of them last night in front of a great crowd. So I think that was great to get back in competition. We've got a lot of good news, and we were sure happy to receive the phone call. That was actually the Deputy Athletic Director and COO, Bron Cartwright, who got the call from an NCAA staff member. We knew that the Football Oversight Committee was meeting this morning at about 8 a.m. our time, and this was one of the topics of discussion. And just taking you back, you know, we had put in a waiver stating two things, you know, that 5 and 6 is statistically better than 5 and 7, and then with only an 11-game schedule and not having the ability to play that 12th game against an FBS opponents because of the tragic circumstances where a student athlete was killed or lost his life at San Jose State University, and then proving that we did everything we could by calling every possible FBS member out there, and we just couldn't get the game. So as you recall, we had two completely separate waivers. We're going to talk about the Saturday's game here at the end, but this was a great call to make, and you know, we got to go down to practice, and as coach was wrapping up, he kind of looked over, because I'm not a big practice AD, and he's like, you got something to say? And I said, well, come here for a second. And, you know, we got to break the news to the team. Was really, really special. So, you know, I first of all, you know, when you win a waiver, or if you lose, it's very easy to say, oh, the NCAA this, hey, we won, oh, they were great. But the reality is, at the end of the day, we try to put the best case forward. Now, we obviously believe we had a good case, but that's up to others to hear. So I think the important thing, maybe it's easier to say after you get a favorable outcome, is that, you know, we were heard. You know, we had discussions with people. We were able to make our case, and that's really all you can ask for. But the Football Oversight Committee, I'm very appreciative and thankful that, you know, in effect, they saw it the way we did. I'd also be remiss if I didn't thank three people, the guys that work on a lot of the waivers. You know, Kevin Melendrez is our faculty athletic rep. He's not just a faculty athletic rep, he actually holds some positions at the NCAA. Certainly Bron Cartwright, our deputy AD and COO, who is a long-time compliance man in his background, and then Nate Flores. Nate's that guy who sits, you know, see him at the end of the bench. Nobody's giving him credit, but I tell you what, the Associate AD for compliance here, and it's unique here a little bit, isn't it? So much that he reports to the general counsel, not to me, but the dude has a batting average like, I don't know, whoever won the batting crown this year, Nate's won it. You know, so he did a heck of a job for us. And Amber and I were just over in his office, and he goes, well, you were the one who started out by saying 5 and 6 was better. And I said, well, it's an old baseball guy, always trying to improve his batting average. But I'm really appreciative of what they did. Now, not to get too deep into this, but as I understand it, and I encourage you to talk to Braun after this, there are 79 bowl-eligible teams, or so I guess I should say 6-win teams, for 82 spots. There's a game, Akron versus Buffalo, on Friday. And if Buffalo is successful in that game, they would take the 80th spots. And then, according to NCAA rule, they would go to the 5 and 7 teams and you know, apply the APR rule. Who's got the best, second best, third best, et cetera. You know, us being successful in our waiver has allowed us to kind of jump over that group. Okay, so it's my understanding that if Buffalo wins and they're the 80th team, there's 2 slots to fill, then would be the 81st is the way it's been explained to me. Okay, so we're very confident. You know, we say we're bowl eligible. We're being very, very cautious by saying we're bowl bound. So I would just say that we are bowl eligible, but the way I understand it, you know, we're in a pretty good standing. You know, before I kick it over to Coach Kill, nobody really asked me this yesterday because they went right to Coach. But, you know, we won 5 games this year so far, and we were 5 and 22 over the last 3 years. Okay. You know, we lead the FBS, that's 133 schools, in increased attendance in a community of 102,000 people at a 41% increase. It's pretty amazing of where we sit right now, and being bowl eligible going into recruiting season and going into Conference USA is huge. So they asked Coach a question, and I was thinking, man, I wanted to say this, but I'm going to say it now. Other than Bill Snyder, the legendary Kansas State coach, and the Pied Piper of Hamlin, I don't know who can do things that Jerry Kell. Now, I got to witness firsthand. I came in on the back end of it, but, I'll let him talk about that. But, I was remiss as AD to say, our expectations met. I mean, come on, they're exceeded times 10, so we're unbelievably excited. Now, I'll end on this. I would urge everybody, all of Aggie Nation, all of Las Cruces, all of Doñana County, all the state, come out to that football game tomorrow. On Saturday at 1 o'clock. That's a huge game. We worked really hard, and we won a waiver to be able to play that game. As I said, to give the seniors a proper send-off, to fulfill our season ticket requirements, etc. So I would hope that we would have a tremendous crowd. So I'm asking everybody to come out on Saturday at 1 o'clock. The team has just recorded the last game, the second biggest upset in all of college football. Your quarterback, who's a New Mexican, has won numerous national awards. And I quite frankly think this team deserves everybody's support. So hopefully we'll have a tremendous crowd on Saturday at 1 o'clock against Valparaiso University. And at this time, I'll kick it over to Coach Kill.
Thanks for everybody coming out, and I'm just sitting here and want to compliment our coaching staff. They've done a great job. We started off 0-4, and it's hard to keep things together when you're 0-4. And a lot of people question you, but we just stayed the course, and what we believe in certain things, and we set a standard when we put the scoreboard on. We put 8 initiatives that they had to do for us to win, and we never talked about winning. We talked about winning those initiatives, and so we didn't talk about it. And really, by following it that way, I think we were able to hang in there. And so it's been great. The people here in Las Cruces, we talk about the attendance, record and those type of things. They've been great to me. They have, I don't know, it's just a good fit. That's what I say. It's a good fit. And, what they've done for us, there's not one person, sitting up here, but from my girlfriend Simone to the chancellor to everybody in this room to everybody in Las Cruces, everybody's been a part of it. And I mean that sincerely, because we don't have a crowd, our kids don't play as hard, we're recruiting. It's been everybody helped get this turned. And we're still a long way away. I mean, we really are, to where we're going to go and where we want to go. But it's certainly a faster start than I thought. And as Mario said, we need a huge crowd on Saturday, because we're bringing in some great recruits. And but only that is we want to show the people that is given this opportunity to play in a bowl game that the sites are unknown and all that kind of stuff, where we go on and what to do, is that we want to show them the Aggie Nation can fill a place up. So what a better way to showcase on Saturday, because they won't pick the matchups until Sunday. So I think every single detail is important. I'm a detailed guy, and I think everything we do from here on out until Sunday is important, and that's winning the game and beating Valparaiso and doing our job and continue to get better and not slip back. So I mean, the game coming up is the most important game, and we need to play well, or it doesn't, I won't be very happy. So my challenge is to reverse all the happiness we have today and get it back to where it needs to be tonight, and concentrate on what's in hand, and that's the game on Saturday. So with that, any questions?
I guess for Coach first. You come in off a 2-10 season, like you said, you start 0-4. To turn this around and be bowl eligible, what do you feel like that shows is possible in future years for New Mexico State?
Well, I'm gonna, each year's different, each team's different in football, because of the numbers you work with. So this will be the last time this team's together. People don't realize that we have 19 seniors, and they'll be gone, there'll be kids, for all that stuff in college football. So this will be the last team that's put together, but they've set the standard. They've set the standard, or at least, laid the floor, the basement, the floor. Now we start framing the house. And that's our job, to continue to bring in good players and continue to make progress in our program. And this certainly helps and jumpstarts that issue. This news today, all of a sudden, you get some calls all of a sudden, and maybe some places you couldn't get into. So, again, this is a beginning of something. I mean, we have a long way to go yet, and where we want to go, and we're going into a new conference, but we'll have momentum going into that, if we take care of business. But we still got to take care of business.
Coach Gill, my name's Lucas. I'm from the Los Angeles Sun News. I'm filling in for Jason Groves here.
You're better looking than he is, anyway.
I tell him that all the time.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So about a year ago today, almost exactly a year ago today, you were being introduced as the head coach. And at that point, somebody had asked you about being Mr. Fix-It, and your comment was, well, I'm not Mr. Fix-It. I like to come in and tweak things. What do you think you tweaked to this year's team that allowed them to become bowl eligible?
Consistency. We were the same all the time, win, lose, whatever. We came out, had the same plan, or not the same plan, but the same attitude. We weren't too far up and down as coaches. We just kept coaching them. And, we'd point out what we're doing wrong and why we're losing, and then we'd point out what we need to do to win, and then we went out to practice and kept working. And so, but our coaches didn't go, well, the offense not doing very good, or the defense not doing very good. And all my career, I've had coaches that have been like that. They stayed the course and understood what we were doing. And that's the whole key to it. It's not Einstein or anything. It's just being consistent.
To that end, what was your message to the team after the Florida International game, when the team was 1-5 and didn't look that great in that game?
It wasn't very good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm curious how that compared to your message after the Liberty game, if you kind of a consistent message.
It's been a pretty consistent message since we didn't figure out we were going to play until Tuesday afternoon, I think, Tuesday afternoon. So it was hard to practice when you don't know if you're going to play a game or not. But once we found out we were playing a game, it's, practices, if anybody's come out, it ain't changed. They're the same intensity, they're the same focus, and like I told them, hey, Valpo's coming in here in the same position we were when we went to Liberty. So, and remember Florida International, you don't want to go back that track. I think I bruised my foot or cracked the deal in my foot, kicking chairs and everything else, because I wasn't very happy. And but I've learned to make sure I don't do that either. So I've been very calm since then.
Do you think that was the low point of the season, that FIU loss?
Yeah, probably.
Mm-hmm.
Probably.
Mario, you didn't want to talk about it on Monday before you got a waiver, but will you now make the pitch for the New Mexico Bowl, potentially selecting you guys, or is it?
Right now I feel like I'm playing with house money, so I feel like if you send us to the Timbuktu Bowl, we'll be the happiest clams in the world. So, one thing I've learned is that there's a lot of moving parts. Teams at conferences that you never would think depend on bowls will affect where you go. And there's a lot of TV contracts and potential moving parts. So while certainly, I think for our fans, the New Mexico Bowl and the Arizona Bowl are very desirable because you can drive there, and that's where a large pocket of our alums are. I'd say the same thing with a lot of the bowls in the Dallas Metroplex area, Fort Worth, etc. However, at this point of the year, you're happy primarily that you're in a bowl, right? How much it helps recruiting, how much it helps for the future. And then the secondary thing is, boy, it would be great if it was convenient for all the fans that they could get to easily. So we'll let the chips fall where they may, and we'll see what happens.
This may be a somewhat ignorant question, but I mean, is there bargaining that goes on behind the scenes with bowls? It's like, can you call the bowl directors and say, hey, this is, look at the attendance that show up on Saturday? I mean,
You end up knowing some of the bowl directors because, as Coach Kill will tell you, when we go to Conference USA meetings, they invited us. A lot of the ESPN bowl guys are there. Nick Carparelli, who runs the bowl system, is there as well. We know him. John Johnson, the Frisco Bowl. He and I were office mates at UNM when we both worked there. Jeff Symbieta, we know him really well. But as far as us being able to influence where to go, that's not necessarily the case. When you get in a conference, I think that might help a little bit more. But right now, we're happy to be here in this position, and we'll go anywhere.
Going back to the waiver process, you said you all felt heard. Obviously, how important do you think it was that you all were able to go to the NCAA and say, look, we reached out to absolutely anyone and everyone to try to get a 12th game on the schedule, and how important was that in making a good enough case to win the waiver?
Well, you have to have good people, right, who put waivers together. It's not just you're writing it out on a cocktail napkin. I mean, it's serious business. You need guys with smart over there. And, we've got Kevin, and we've got Nate, and we've got Braun, and now we're going to have Amber. So that's a great team, right? You put together a case. You can have a great case and word it not very well. You could have a mediocre case and word it very well. So that's really important. Especially when you're asking the Football Oversight Committee or the NCAA to maybe do something on precedent, do something that there is no precedent for. That is where I think the skill of the waiver writing comes in. It also is the, how well you have relationships with people. So you could talk to them. You can be best friends with somebody or arch enemies, and I don't believe they're ever going to vote for you or against you. But if you know people, you have the ability to get them on the phone and, from a personal standpoint, explain what they're going to be seeing in written format. To me and how I process things, that's great. I mean, you see something on a paper, it could be very compelling, but having firsthand long-standing relationships with people, like Coach Kill did with some of the people on there, like I did, I can't think, but that doesn't help your case when it's being heard.
And Coach, like you said, you guys didn't know if you guys would be playing a 12th game head into this week. Now you're prepping for that. You're also now potentially for a bowl game. How does that change, or what this next few weeks will look like for you guys?
Well, it doesn't change what we need to do on Saturday. I'm a one day at a time person, and tomorrow will be Friday, and I'll be, we'll go through the same exact routine we've done all year. I start to get moody Friday afternoon, somebody in here would say, and then Saturday you get locked in, and we got to go win. And then after that, we're having a banquet or not really a banquet, a team meeting where we'll give out some awards and stuff like that. The announcement will be made, and experience of going through this before, I kind of got an idea of what we would do. We got to give our kids some time off somewhere along the lines, according to when the bowl game is. So you can't really plan until you know when the bowl game is. We got finals coming up next week. So there's a lot of things. We also have quite a few recruits coming in, and I'll have to talk to them on Saturday night, Friday night, plus get ready for a game. And so when we get the recruits out of there on Sunday, then, I'll go to work on, then we'll know who we're playing, then we'll go to work on the bowl plan, and all our administration will be doing the same thing wherever it is, and then get organized and still got to recruit. That's the thing people don't. We still got to be on the road recruiting. We got to have some people back here coaching. And then I'll pull everybody off the road, whenever week and a half before we play. So it's a busy time, but it's a good time. You know, I don't think there's anybody that's ever going to apologize. I mean, you had to look at those kids when Mario, you know, and Ron told them, you know, what was happening. I mean, it was, you know, it's pretty neat. So it's all about the kids, and if you want to be good, you got to work. I said all the time, you got to, you know, got to be married to this job for about 3 years, and you know, to be honest with you, maybe it might be 3.5, 4 years. You know, and I'm not talking about staying here. I'm talking about getting it where you need to have it, because I just don't want it to be a one-time thing. And as Coach Franchione told me a long time ago, the worst thing you can do is go in and go to a bowl game right off the bat. He said, you just want to win about 3 or 4 games. Well, I've already screwed that one up. So I'm sure Coach Fran's going, what the heck's going on? He doesn't listen very well. But so it's jump-started things, so that means we got to work harder. And we got to get, you know, we're going to lose 19 players, and we got to go out and get some players, you know, because we're going into Conference USA. And, you know, I think it's pretty hard to go to a bowl game when you're independent. I don't know if that's true or not, but in Conference USA, you know, we're going to have several opportunities, and that's the great thing about getting in a conference. So, then you got to look at you know, we've looked at plenty of film of people we're going to play in Conference USA, and Liberty was a good example of, you know, what you got to look like, you know, to play. And you know, we beat them, but they got some good-looking dudes.
Well, not to put either of you on the spot too much, but will this expedite the process of just getting the contract finalized, I guess, Coach?
Well, everybody's talked to me about contract, and you know, I think people, you know, gotta be, is that, you know, I'm not holding up a contract. I guess I'm saying, everybody thinks I'm holding up a contract for money or something like that.
Recording in progress.
Is that, you know, the discussion is, you know, where we're going with our program in the contract, but it has nothing to do with me complaining about this or complaining about that, or I need more money even though Mario needs to pay me more money. Is that we don't have the money. So, and money for me is more important for our assistant coaches, because we just had success. You don't think people are not going to come after them? So those are things that people don't understand that are important. And so it's not, you know, I'm not sitting here for a moment about, you know, I'm not going anywhere. I just shot myself out of leverage right there. You know, it's a point about just getting it done and get it finalized. And, you know, it's things that are important to all I'm going to say is things that are important to the program. It's about the program. It's not about me, you know, holding out on something or anything like that. It's been a slow process, but nobody can answer that question. Why? I mean, you got attorneys, you got lawyers, you got agents, you got, you know, it's just not one of those easy things to do in sports. So I think that pretty much says it all.
So that's why I brought the pen, just in case.
So you got one thing to do. You know what that is.
The contract that is on the table, is there a provision in there for making a bowl game, like additional funds? What does that state?
Yeah, there's the standard, you know, when you know, we were talking to Coach, I mean, you know, every contract has its standard bonuses. What's the proper term, Braun? Incentive clause. Thank you, Chancellor. So yes, that would be in there as well.
But you got to sign a contract before you get that money, right? Yeah. So there's your answer. Sooner or later, I better sign a contract. No, I'm not going to have any money, and then I'm going to be able to buy any Christmas presents.
Does anybody on the Zoom have any questions for either Coach or Mario?
I just see Sam on there.
All right. Does anybody else in the room have questions?
No.
All right.
I would anticipate, when is the bowl selection?
Sunday.
Well, I know, but the specific time.
Time.
The show starts noon Eastern, so.
Noon Eastern?
Yeah.
So I would assume, as Coach said, I mean, and we'll get the word out, but since y'all are here, I'm under the assumption we'll do something on Sunday afternoon. It could be Monday, though. I guess we'll have to talk about that, but just, we'll send it out.
We'll let you guys know what the next step of media
You
availability
did it
will
on
be.
Sunday.
That is if it works with your schedule, Colin.
I'll be here. You can do it not at the same time as the Sun Bowl press conference. So that-
So you mentioned Arizona Bowl, you mentioned the New Mexico Bowl. I've seen the bowl in Mobile, Alabama mentioned as a possibility for the Aggies as well. Would it be fair to say that those three are most likely, or is it not?
I think,
Shouldn't go there?
yeah, I think a lot of people see the two bowls in closest proximity and make that assumption. And then there's a lot of speculation on the internet. Now, I know some of the prognosticators are pretty good. But boy, just in discussions with ESPN, the moving parts are tremendous. So I wouldn't necessarily say there's a front runner over the other, at the present time. Not that I would feel comfortable saying.
Do you want to go on record and say this is the bowl we'd love to go to?
I would not do that with all the bowls out there. I think we're good friends with a lot of those folks. They all strive to put a quality experience for the student athletes, and the coaches and the families of the teams and boosters and things like that. So, we're just, I think the main takeaway is I'm really excited for the student athletes.
Yeah, I don't care. I don't care where we go. I care about winning the bowl game. So I don't care where we go. I don't care if we go on the North Pole. I mean, when you get an opportunity to be in the situation to be in a bowl game, there is, Coach Franchione, there's no bad bowl games. There's just not. So, I'll speak for myself, but maybe everybody, we're just glad to be in one. You just think about where we were, 4 or 5 weeks ago, and people were already getting their vacations and going, so we're going to go here and here, and, working around recruiting. All of a sudden, now we're working around bowl games. So, it's quite amazing, to be honest with you. It's an amazing story, it really is. If you look at it, if you go through all the stuff that John's put together, and look where our defense is compared to was, a year ago. You look at some of the things since 1990, 2 bowls since 1961. Is that right?
This would be the fifth bowl
Fifth bowl
since
since
1936.
Fifth bowl ever, second in 61 years.
So,
Since 2017, that's Justin.
2 bowls since 2017.
so, but it's been a deal where it's surreal a little bit, where when I came in here, I'll be honest with you, if I said we win 1-2, we're going to be lucky, because I said I'm going to be a hard-nosed man. I'm going to be the hard guy. I'm not taking any crap. We're going to do it this way. You don't like it, tough. If you look at that hill on the backside, there's a lot of brown spots on it. There's a lot of players went up and down that hill, and so when you come in that hard, sometimes people don't buy in. But these kids, they'd had not very much success, so they were listening to everything you said, and I think the credibility our staff brought in and stuff helped us. But where they started, if you put on the first film and where they're at now, it's quite amazing, and that's a credit to the kids and our assistant coaches. Not me, those people.
Okay. And I'm not putting them on the spot, but the boss is here too. If you wanna.
Say, Chancellor, would you like to make any statements?
No, we're just happy to be here. Happy to be going to a bowl.